Welcome to Computer Tips, Tricks, and Shortcuts. If you have a question, leave us a comment and we will try to answer your question. Now, let's get started. In this second video on pivot tables, part 2, we want to dive a little deeper into how to use a pivot table, design them. We're going to add some subtotals. We're looking at our spreadsheet, or our pivot table, and we have the sum of on order and the sum of total cost on order, and we have it broken out by each item by the vendor. I want to see the total for each vendor on what I'm going to owe them. So we need to add subtotals. While you're clicked in your pivot table, we're going to go to the contextual tabs, the ones that are created when you're in a pivot table. We want to go to the Design tab, click Subtotals, show all subtotals at the bottom of the group. You can use the top, but we'll just use the bottom. So now it's going to add the total for each vendor, so I know what I owe each vendor, and it gives me a grand total. It also is giving me totals for each individual item, and I don't need that. It's making it too confusing. So you can click in, say, the top item, flash drives total, click in that cell, hover over it, and your cursor will turn into a little black arrow pointing to the right. Mine stays a white arrow, but yours will turn into a little black arrow pointing to the right. When it does turn into the arrow, left click on your mouse. It will highlight all the totals of the items. Then we're going to right click, go to Subtotal Item, which will turn it off, and now we only have the totals for each manufacturer, which is much easier to see what we owe each manufacturer. Alright, so let's go back to the way we had it before and look a little bit more at our pivot table items. Now we have the on order and the total cost on order in our values box. You don't necessarily have to have Excel adding items, counting them. If you just simply want to see certain rows of information from your main spreadsheet, you can actually just put those items in the row box. So if we drag on order into the row and the total cost on order into the rows, now you can see it's not adding anything, it's just giving you what is on your main spreadsheet in those columns. If I take out the item and the product number, those still stay because we're just showing you what's in those columns. It's not summarizing anything. If you put it back and we put back the on order into the values, the total cost on order into the values, now you can see it is summarizing your totals. When you put your on order or the total cost on order back in the values box, if for some reason Excel changed what it's doing to your numbers, say it changed to count, all you do is click on the tab, go to value field settings, and then change it back to what you want. Now here in the filters box, this can be a very useful tool when you have very large spreadsheets, say it's got a lot of data on sales and you have it by the month and you want to create a pivot table and get a snapshot of January's sales. Very useful. In this particular spreadsheet, not so handy, but let me show you how it works. If I drag the manufacturer down into the filters, you can see it takes it away from my pivot table on the left and brings it up at the top where we can filter a certain manufacturer. So you can click the all box and all again, so it unchecks all the manufacturers, and let's click on one of them, say OK, and now you can see all the items that they carry in our store. In our particular spreadsheet we could have done that the way it was before, but this is just to give you an idea of how you can apply it when you have a different type of spreadsheet where it is needed to filter on, say, a month or a certain state, city, whatever you're doing, it can be very useful. So know that this is available to you. I'm going to put it back. And as you can see, once I put it back, see in our particular spreadsheet, we can just filter right here and it would work fine. So there you have it, more about pivot tables. Practice, apply it to your data. The more you practice with your data with pivot tables, you will see how beneficial they can be in analyzing your data, summarizing it, looking at it in different ways. If you come across a situation that I haven't covered in pivot tables or something else in Excel, later we're going to do Word and PowerPoint. Leave us a comment, ask the question, we'll try to cover that for you. The next pivot table video we're doing is going to be how you can change a pivot table into a standalone database, not dependent any longer on a database, where you can change it, change the headers, fix it up the way you want, and you can email it to someone without fearing that there's a link. So that's going to be a good one. Stay tuned, Pivot Table Part 3, and thanks for watching.